All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoD podcast, and welcome to my list of dream movies. So, my job, where I work, where I make the bank for right now, is a pretty boring fucking job. And so I just sit at a desk, or I stand on a line, or yada yada yada, and I'm just kind of, I'm doing a gig. It's a cool gig. It's a cool job. Not gonna lie, but I have a lot of time to think, man. It's a very monotonous job, so I have a lot of time to think about different things. I'm always thinking about what I can do for DoD, how I can improve the channel, how I can increase, all that good stuff, and really just put out good content for you guys. But a lot of the time, I'm a writer. I like to think of stories and think up different ideas, and there are times where I'll be thinking constantly of, oh, would it be cool if this movie came out, or I would love to see a comic book on this, or something like that. And so I thought, hey, what a fucking cool idea for the podcast. So I just threw together 5 dream movies that I would love to see in theaters. Do I think all of these movies can be made? Varying levels. I think the first one 100% should be made, and then the other ones I would say are very niche, and I don't like the chances of these being made. One of them is just a full-on fantasy land. I would just love to see this, but I'd say the last 3 are very niche ideas that I think only would appeal to fucking hardcore horror fans, and I think other people really wouldn't dig it too much, and as we go down the list, we'll get all into it. But as far as the list itself, I would love to see all of these movies be made, like top budget, top all of it, give it to me. I think they would all be really cool. So I'm not going to ramble too long. I just wanted to kind of give a little intro so everyone can get settled down, grab your popcorn, grab your drink. Let's just get right into it, man. The first one I really thought of, it's a Star Wars movie. And I think everyone has been longing for a fresh idea in Star Wars. I love the Skywalkers. I love the Skywalker saga. It definitely dips here and there in quality, but for the most part, the characters and the overall story, I really, really enjoy, as most Star Wars fans do. But, and I've said this before, I'm pretty sure I said this on the Star Wars podcast, but the Star Wars universe is so huge, and it's so wide, and I've always asked myself, why would you just limit yourself to one storyline with one group of characters? Now, in recent years, they've done a little bit of a better job of trying to get something... Excuse me. Take a sip of water here. Anyways, they've done a pretty good job of keeping it fresh. Well, I shouldn't say they've done a good job, but... they started to branch out a little more, and I think the craziest thing we're about to get is Star Wars Eclipse, which is on the video game front. I'm really, really looking forward to that. But, they had some different things that kind of branched away from that story, mainly Rogue One and Solo. But both of those things still are key players in the overall story. Rogue One, you have... the rebels getting the Death Star plans, and in Solo, obviously that's a movie about fucking Han Solo, so they still have something to do with that Skywalker saga at the end of the day. I want something that is just completely detached. Put it in that universe. You could do so many different things, and I don't have one specific thing in mind when it comes to a fresh Star Wars movie. That's because it's limitless, man. And it's you can't tell me that you can't establish a new series within that universe. I think they're limiting themselves. The people in charge of making the Star Wars stuff, Disney, I think they're limiting themselves, man. And I think Star Wars Eclipse, which is supposed to be set in the what the fuck do they call it? New Republic era, something like that. It's 400 years before Phantom Menace or some shit. But I think they're doing a good job with that. you know? And that's what I want to see, man. I want to see a completely detached story. You know, back in the day, Knights of the Old Republic, which is no longer canon, unfortunately, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. You know, that was something completely detached from anything related to the Star Wars movies. So do that, man. Give me a new give me a new trilogy. Give me just a single release. Just something fresh. You know, you could do anything. Have a fucking... I don't know. Like I said, it's fucking limitless. So... that's the first one, man. Just give me a new, fresh, interesting Star Wars flick. I think that would be really, really cool to see. The next thing on my list is just pure fanboy, fantasy, fanfic fucking shit. But I love it, and I love the idea of it. And I think if for some wild, crazy reason this movie would be made, I think it would be a hit. And I think horror fans would really, really fucking like it. So, you know... we all know about versus movies, right? We all know about, you know, Alien versus Predator, Freddy versus Jason. What's the Asylum one? It's like a Sharknado versus metal octopus type. I don't fucking know, but I know there's one of them like that. It's like, there's Boa versus Python, which is not a good movie, but you know. Fans get really hyped up about that shit, you know, especially Alien versus Predator and Freddy versus Jason. You know, people love that shit, dude. And I started thinking about the Predator. You know, on the channel, we're going through the Predator movies, and I'm fastly approaching Alien versus Predator. And I was like, okay, what would be, like, if I had to match up the Predator with any type of horror villain or fantasy hero or anything, what would be the perfect fit? And, you know, everyone's brought up, like, Batman, which they've done some shit with that. I know there was a comic series, like a Batman versus Predator comic series. I think they actually introduced Alien into that as well later on. But, you know, they played around with Batman, and, like, that's cool. I really like that, especially Batman's my favorite fucking superhero, so I really enjoy that. You know, and shout out to that Alien versus Predator versus Batman fan film on YouTube. It's like years old. It's so fucking old, but really, really well done stuff. And anytime people scoff at fan films now, which doesn't happen as much anymore because, you know, the Never Hike series is big with Jason and stuff like that, which those are fucking phenomenal. But that Batman versus Alien versus Predator was like fucking really, 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 really good. But moving on, we went totally in ADHD mode. So the Batman stuff was cool with Predator. And, you know, people have brought up like, Terminator, Hunter versus Hunter. That'd be cool, you know. I wanted to just think of something totally out of left field. Just something no one would expect. But like, yeah, no shit. Of course that would be awesome kind of thing. And I thought Predator versus Hellboy. Like, I don't know, like me and my fiance have been running through those movies with her folks. And I've always loved the character of Hellboy. And then it just clicked one day. I'm like, that would be fucking awesome. You know, you have the Predator who is all about, you know, hunting down the, like, top prey. Top best of the best prey. And then, on the other hand, you have Hellboy, who, that's kind of his job, is to hunt down, you know, not extraterrestrial, it's not what I was trying to say, but, you know, paranormal monsters and shit like that. So you could do anything. You could do anything with that story-wise. Personally, I'd probably book it to where, you know, Predator's wreaking havoc in like a city. Predator 2 style. Excuse me, my voice is farting out on me. Anyways, but yeah, Predator's wreaking havoc in like a big city or something like that. And then they send in Hellboy. It's basic 101, booking 101, you know? And that's the thing with versus films, you really don't have to have it be super convoluted. It's like, as long as you get these two characters fighting on screen, I'm all game, man. Let's fucking do it. And I think Hellboy versus Predator, as far as the fights, forget about it. Oh my god, dude. That would be fucking incredible. Because Hellboy basically can't die. I mean, he can, but it's hard to kill him. And, the Predator is the Predator. So I think having those two matched up on screen would be fucking magic. Obviously, have Ron Perlman play Hellboy, too. No offense to the new guy playing him. I thought he did fucking great, too. If you needed to, have him do it as well. Because I know Ron Perlman's, like, in his 70s now. So, maybe not. But whoever plays Hellboy, as long as they're good. And, I just think it'd be fucking rad. You could even have multiple Predators if you wanted to. Have Hellboy blow up a Predator or some shit like that. It'd be fucking rad, man. I just think that would be a really, really, really cool idea. So, moving on before I ramble too much about that. So, the next one is one of the two that I feel is very, very niche. And I don't think Hollywood would touch just because, like I said, they want that mass appeal. They want that mainstream appeal, which I get. I understand. At the end of the day, Hollywood is a business. But, nonetheless, they can fuck themselves. Because I think this would be a hit. I think this would be absolutely awesome. I'm a big fan of Friday the 13th, man. I'm a huge, huge, huge Friday the 13th fan. I'm very interested in the lore, which I know a lot of the Friday the 13th in general don't really go into the lore too much. You have to kind of reach into like comic books and just different, shit like that to really appreciate that lore. Not saying it's not there in the movies, but if you really want to dive in deep, you have to kind of outsource to other things besides the movies. But one thing that I thought that I really always wished the Friday franchise did, and I understand why they never did, because, especially when that series was coming out, people just wanted Jason. We all know what happened when they used Roy Burns instead of Jason Voorhees. In the fifth one, people lost their shit and just acted like that movie was fucking terrible and dog shit, even though it's not. But, the studio panicked and was like, we got to get Jason back now. So I understand why they never went this route, but I always kind of wish they did. And that was, I really wanted a movie exploring Pamela Voorhees. I think that could just be fucking awesome. I really, really do. I think that character is so interesting, and we only get her, in the mortal realm in the first movie for she's in the whole thing killing people, but you really only get Betsy Palmer for solid 10-ish, 15-ish minutes, something like that. And I think that character was so fucking awesome, and I really, really wish we would have gotten a prequel exploring her character and exploring, her backstory, how they end up at Crystal Lake. Obviously have some very young Jason in there as well, just exploring the relationship between those two, and it makes the events of the movies that much more significant. And then, you always have the possibility of introducing Elias Voorhees into the cinematic universe of Friday the 13th. And, that could be a matter of, just a little quick cameo or have him be a main part of the movie. I feel like Elias Voorhees is a character that they never really explored. They never explored Jason's dad. I know, some movies tried to kind of do that, but it was always, a pre-production stage, or it just got cut out, and they just never really, fucked with it. And I feel like having a Pamela Voorhees movie that is, the perfect opportunity to do that. And yeah, man, I really, really think those three characters, Jason, Pamela, and Elias, definitely deserve their own prequel. I think that would be just fucking magic. But I would still have the central character be Pamela Voorhees, because I just think the world of that character. And yeah, so that's the Friday entry on this list. And then next up, we're just blasting through these, baby. But I obviously don't want to drone on for too long. But anyways, the next one, and this is one that's very near and dear to my heart. We have not talked about these movies yet in the channel. in like review form. But the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to me, is a horror masterpiece. I don't give that title to many horror movies. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a horror masterpiece. The Shining, Halloween, and those are the three that really come off the top of my head. The Exorcist is another one. And, you know, people can argue all day about like the quality, yada yada yada, but to me, the original Texas is just it's just magic, dude. It's classic horror magic, and I think it's just incredible. I really, really do. I feel like after that first one, you know, and I like some Texas Chainsaw series or sequels more than others. I think like part 2 is fun. I think that the mid-2000s remakes are cool for what they are. Other ones that were just fucking dog shit, like, you know, Next Generation and that Texas Chainsaw 3D and just fucking dog shit. And I know they are coming out with a new Texas Chainsaw in like a couple days. My faith in that is not very high. I'll be honest. I am not feeling too good about that movie at all, but, you know, we'll see where it goes. And again, hopefully they prove me wrong, but I just don't have a good feeling about it. But yeah, man. So that would lead me into what I want to see from my dream Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Honestly, I just want something that lives up to the original. I don't think there's any reason why you can't have a Texas Chainsaw movie that matches the quality of the original. I mean, dude, come on. Think of some of the stuff we've gotten from like... And hey, you know, you could give this the fucking A24 treatment and have it be a psychological story about Sally Hardesty. You know, you could do anything with it. It's just, I want a proper continuation of that original story. I don't know if that means you immediately, like, you pick it up right where the original left off and Sally's getting towed away in a fucking pickup laughing her ass off and Leatherface is twirling around his chainsaw. I think it could be interesting to just pick it up right from there and then have some good shit along with it. Or, you know, you pick it up however many years later. You know, there's so many different cool things you could do. And credit for at least trying for some of these movies to capture that, but none of them have hit that mark for me. I mean, none of them have lived up to the original. And I'm not trying to say that this new one could surpass the original. I think that's kind of impossible given the unique nature of that film and how it was made and yada yada. But I feel like there's no excuse to why we don't have a good, proper Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. To me, there's just no excuse. A lot of them have tried, and some of them have succeeded. Like I said, there are some ones that I really, really enjoy, but there's just never been that one. And I feel like that's a crime, you know? But yeah, and then we get into our last flick, our last dream flick, I should say. And this is one that is 100% totally fucking niche. Probably is never going to happen unless there's like a fan film about it. I'm pretty sure there are some fan films, but in my ideal horror nerd world, we would get a full-on, detailed, incredibly made Hollywood film about Charlie Bowles. Now, who is Charlie Bowles? So, there is a scene in the original Halloween. And anyone who knows what I'm about to say is probably like, oh my God, just get onto it. But there are a lot of people who don't know who Charlie Bowles is. You know, really none of us know who Charlie Bowles is, honestly. But there is a scene in the original Halloween where Dr. Loomis and the guy watching after the graveyard are walking through the graveyard looking for Michael's sister's, looking for Judith Meyer's tombstone. And while they're walking, the groundskeeper is telling Loomis this story. And it basically, I'm not going to get it quote for quote, but basically he says that it's, he talks about old Charlie Bowles out in Russellville and how he kissed his family goodbye. Or, well, no, he went out to his garage and he got himself a hacksaw. And then he went into his kitchen and he kissed his wife and 2 kids goodbye. And then he proceeded to... And then Loomis interrupts him, and they just go on about the movie. We don't get a conclusion to the Charlie Bowles story. And this is something I know. It is a throwaway little bit of dialogue. It's really not supposed to mean anything. But Halloween fans have been fucking frothing at the mouth, almost, some of them, of what the fuck did Charlie Bowles do? It's such a out of nowhere, seemingly very dark tale that just completely gets the rug pulled out from under it. And I doubt John Carpenter was planning on going back and doing a Charlie Bowles story when he wrote that. But I feel like, again, you could just do anything with that. Does he chop up his family? Did he have a bad day at work? Did he get fired? And does he kiss his wife and kids goodbye because he knows he's gonna go to prison after he kills his boss? Or you could do anything with it. You really, really could. There's so many different avenues, and I feel like that has such potential. And you could obviously have the fan service with him getting locked up in Smith's Grove, and then years later he's an old man, and then he gets introduced to Kid Michael or something like that. You could have that fan service and tie everything together. But I just feel like that could be such a cool story, and they've just never capitalized on it. I know there's some material out there about Charlie Bowles. It's very minute fan theory stuff. Nothing canonical, nothing like that. I won't say important because, if you put energy into something creative, it is important. But as far as canonical mainstream stuff, that is as far as the Charlie Bowles story has ever gone. All these years, we've gotten nothing. And I just feel like it'd be really fucking cool. But yeah, guys, so those are my fan dream movies. Most of them horrors, a good amount of them not. No. Most of them are horror related, obviously, but we have the Star Wars stuff in there and stuff too. Comment down below, man. I want to hear some of you, what you guys would like to see from these movies. If there's a dream movie that you personally have that you would like to see put on screen, let me know about that too. And we can get some good conversations going, man. But yeah. So that'll do it, guys. A little quick podcast. Sorry I'm late, but, it is what it is. But thank you for stopping by. Thank you for supporting this wild and crazy dream of mine. And take care of each other and keep watching horror. And go write a letter to Blumhouse asking them to make a Charlie Bowles movie. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. But all right, guys. You have a good rest of your day. Oh, boy.